There's a devastating simplicity to this story. So unlike the other parties where there was talk of, was it a work meeting, was there cheese and wine, whatever jokes, whatever excuses they came up with then, this one is inexcusable. This was lockdown 1.0. We all remember what was allowed because it was virtually nothing. You couldn't go to hospital to see a relative, you couldn't go around to your granny's garden for a drink, and you certainly couldn't take 100 of your colleagues with you to do that either. And yet that is exactly pretty much what happened in Number 10. This email proves it. And tonight, Number 10 isn't commenting on this story. They say they won't while there's this internal investigation. But after weeks of denials, what the Prime Minister isn't denying tonight is that this party happened and that he himself was there.
But the email from one of his most senior officials says, we were thinking, we invite you. Who's we?
Yeah, unless it's the royal we. It's really interesting that, Tom, because what is Martin Reynolds meaning by the word we? He speaks on behalf of the Prime Minister. He works very closely with the Prime Minister. Was it Boris Johnson who was in on this idea to have a drinks party? And tonight there is huge pressure on Martin Reynolds to resign. There's huge pressure on the Met Police to investigate. In the past few minutes, they've said they are in touch with the Cabinet Office about all of this. But the pressure extends, I think, to Boris Johnson in a way that it hasn't done before. Will he now give evidence to this internal inquiry? If he does, that's only where the questions begin. And for the first time, I can't see that he has any answers.
Robert, can I just throw that to you? Before Christmas, there was tremendous pressure on the Prime Minister. You sense that lifted a little bit over Christmas, but here we are, arguably in the worst position for him he's been in.
So it wasn't so much the pressure lifted, it's just we had another crisis, Omicron.
Yeah.
So, look, this is a Prime Minister, a politician, who famously mud gets thrown at him and it somehow falls off, he survives. But this does feel to me like the most serious crisis he has faced as Prime Minister. Looks to me, as Paul mentioned, that the Met Police will feel they have no option but to investigate. It's very difficult to see how this was not an illegal party. There is another issue for the Prime Minister, which is he has repeatedly told the House of Commons that there were no parties and that no COVID rules were broken in Downing Street. Now, he may say that he was referring only to the December party that Paul broke his brilliant scoop about, but actually he, on a number of occasions, seemed to be speaking more widely than that. But also, he was at a party. There is no doubt about it. I mean, I have spoken to people who were witnesses there, and they say he was there, his wife was there, she was, perhaps a trivial detail, but it just shows you, I suppose, the sort of sense to which they were observed. She was drinking gin, I'm told, for example. Now, when you have that level of corroboration, Boris Johnson can no longer rely on the form of words that he's used up to now, which is, I've been advised there were no parties. How can you be advised if you were at a party? Labour, I think, will put an urgent question tomorrow in the House of Commons. They will demand that the Prime Minister comes and explains himself. Now, Martin Reynolds is in charge of the Downing Street building. As Paul again says, very likely that he will resign. I think if he resigns, however, it makes it harder for the Prime Minister. Theresa May sees her officials misbehaving. The Minister says to me, she would say, stop. Prime Minister apparently went to a party and enjoyed it. He's in an incredibly difficult position tonight.